left with one desire, I have to exhaust all desires. How are you going to exhaust that? In short, it is exhausting. Okay. And so we don't go to that route at all. So the vasanas are there. They are strong desires which one has to see, especially if it is not in keeping with what one wants, like the desire to eat sweet things all the time, especially when one is on the one foot is there in the diabetes threshold, and that's not a very good desire to have, because it's injuring the body, it's injuring oneself really. And so such desires, or the desire to take revenge on somebody, it's just a thought, it's a feeling, it's got a force, but you don't really want to do that. So such desires, such vasanas, one has to befriend really, and one has to befriend them, and one has to overcome them by cultivating a new vasana for Vedanta or for anything else. It's just like, how do you take candy from the hand of a baby? You take candy from the hand of a baby, how? You give the baby something else to hold, and then this automatically drops. This is what Lord Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita. Rasavarjam rasopyasya param drishtva nivartate. Nivartate means it returns, it goes away. The teeth goes away from the desires. It's a toothless desire, so it cannot harm anymore. So it's like you have the desires, but they are without the teeth. It's like putting into a hand of a 1-month-old infant that has not yet having teeth. It may clamp the jaws, but you don't get hurt. It's actually very pleasant and sweet. So like that. So the desire doesn't have the ability to disturb. That's what we want. We want to convert all desires into pet cats, not wild cats like leopards and tigers and lions. We want to make them into pet cats that just meow and purr, and they're cute. That's all. Yeah. That is the idea. That's how to prepare for this knowledge. Nice question. Vasana literally means smell. Yeah. And it is because, like how a strong smell lingers, this is how the desires also linger, sometimes even after life. Anything else? Any other question? We can have one more question before we start. Yeah, please silence your phones. Nothing will happen.
It was the alarm. The phone is off. So.
Phone is off. Any other question?
Adhyaropa apavada, basically similar thing, right? That you have a temporary understanding before you can go to the next step. And that could be a technique for this vasana there.
Adhyaropa apavadabhyam nishprapancham prapanchate. It's a very famous sentence from one Vedantic text. So the point that he is trying to add to this question or this discussion is the point that we have a desire for something, let's say. Then we ask ourselves the question, why do we have this desire? And then the answer will come, because this object or this person is very dear to me. Why are they dear to you? Because I see something in them. What is it that you see? You see actually more than what is there. This is called adhyaropa. You see the thing and you see something else in addition to that thing because you want that to be true. So you see the thing all right, and it appears pleasing because you have tacked on to that thing something that is dear to you, and have associated that object or that person or that event or that circumstance with the ability to fulfill your desire for that thing, which is really completely different from that person or that thing. The classic example is money. Money everybody needs, correct? You can't live without money. You have to pay your bills. You cannot say, you cannot go to a restaurant and say, I had a wonderful meal, but it was unreal, so I'm not going to pay for it. I'm a student of Vedanta, and everything is unreal. Yeah. Then you'll be washing unreal dishes for the next 3 days in the restaurant. So therefore, this is so the money is needed. It has a transactional importance, a transactability. It is needed, it is there. And then what? Then what happens to the person whose money it belongs to? They have a value added superimposition, so to speak, a projection upon that money. So it's not just money, which I need to pay rent, pay bills, pay food, and have a holiday, make use of it, basically. No. It is my ticket to security. Money is equal to security. Money is not equal to security. Think of all the people, the more money they have, the more insecure they are. In fact, money has to be protected from money. So how are you going to do this? And so therefore, it has to be understood properly. And this value added superimposition from the object of desire has to be removed. And you see the desire for what it is. You see the person for what it is, not for security, not as a ticket to your security, or not as someone who is fulfilling something for you, but exactly how they are. Then the person doesn't disappoint. Then the object doesn't disappoint. The house is also not a symbol of security, even though it frequently is seen like that. It is not. Because especially with these extreme weather and climate change and everything, it can go. In Florida, they had, what was his name?
Ian,
yes. Ian came with a short name and a long tail and flattened everything. And people's houses were just, became chapatis. That's what they became, flattened, papads. And therefore, house is not secure. Money is not secure. In fact, you are the only thing that is secure. But then, not knowing that, there is that value added, which is called aropa or adhyaropa, that is put, more of a value is put onto things than what the thing already has. And as a result, the thing becomes something to cling on to. You become very clingy in connection to that thing because you have put more value in that thing. And so the first step would be to uncling and unclutch, would be to see it for what it is rather than what it is not. And then, that becomes a very important interim step to be able to make peace with that desire which you are projecting on every person or situation. If that makes sense, yeah. Ask them if they can hear. If everybody can hear, they can hear loud and clear?
Yes.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Start.
Can you ask a question?
You want to say a few words?
No, just ask a question. I just want to ask that this vasana and habitual error of not realizing your own self is a continuing process. It never ends.
Talks on different topics, and there's this website dedicated for her talks. We have quite a few also here.
YouTube.
So
Yeah.
also YouTube also. So please, if you have not listened to her, do take the opportunity to listen to her. And thank you very much, Swamini, for coming in person. And it's definitely a value add to have in-person teaching, so we can ask questions and interact with you. I really appreciate that. And this year we missed, none of the Swamis had come here. So this has really been very good blessing. Thank you very much. And
Thank you.
Thank you all for others also to come and join despite this COVID thing. And it adds a good ambience, right? Good feeling to the whole area to have people together. Thank you very much. Please.
Thank you. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Everybody assembled here can hear? Yes? Okay. Thanks to Raj and Meera for inviting me and for organizing this talk. And as he said, it is rare these days. We are slowly and still we have to be very careful. So it is always a bonus when we are able to gather safely. It's very nice. The topic for today is called Living Vedanta. And there is a pun, of course. And in the pun is all the fun. What is the pun? Living Vedanta. We can take it, we can take the word living as a qualification for Vedanta, as a noun that is qualifying Vedanta. So in a word, it is like a Vedanta that is alive and still living, and I have a few things to say about that. That will be very nice to discuss and to talk about. And we can take living as a verb, living Vedanta. And all the people who are studying Vedanta are living Vedanta. This way also it can be taken. And so both ways become offer some wonderful clues to the question of how to assimilate this knowledge more and more, so that it is reflected in our thoughts, actions, and behaviors. Vedanta means that which occurs at the end of the Vedas. The Veda, as we know, is divided into two parts, Karma Kanda and Jnana Kanda. Karma portion and knowledge portion. The karma portion is like a high school diploma. You have to graduate from there. Karma means action. So you learn how to behave in the world. It's like a lot of home training. Just like the mother and the father will tell a child that is growing up in the house, this is not the way to sit when guests are coming. And when there are guests in the house, you should ask them to eat first. You don't take a look at them and go fill your plate. This is not to be done. Truth must be told. Even though the parent may not adhere to it, but still, they will do their duty and tell the children not to tell lies. Truth must be told, truth must be spoken, and you have to do this, you have to do that, all these things. Why? Why is this kind of a training given in order to be a well-adjusted citizen as an adult? Naturally, because you don't want some wild thing running around, and especially carrying your last name. Oh, son of so-and-so, daughter of so-and-so, you feel like hiding. Yeah, especially if you have an unusual last name, because there's only, few people like that, everybody will point at you. So there is training given. You have to do this, you must not do this, you have to do that, you must not do that. There's a lot of do's and don'ts. And if the child digs in its heels and says, what am I going to get if I'm good? Then the parents have to be creative and devise things. You can no longer give chocolates because the dentist will be upset not at the child but at you. And so you can't give chocolates, you can't give so many things. So you give a gold star here, next, and it's cheap also. So here, next to your name, gold star. The child is happy. And if I don't do this, what will happen? Well, you can't watch your favorite show. Oh, punishment. Reward. This is how the child grows up. Blatant kind of a thing. This is how it is in every household. Otherwise, the parents will go mad if they don't have some kind of a rubric. Even though, there are certain, modern parenting practices where you make the child into your friend. Don't, okay, yeah. But there are people who do. And that doesn't work out very well, either for you or for the child. But even though there are certain modern parenting practices, this by far is how. It is like the universal practice wherever you go. Some kind of a reward, and we don't call it punishment these days, some kind of an accountability. Like, these are the consequences of your action. If you don't do this, this will not happen. You don't get a treat, you don't get to do this, you don't get to enjoy, your privileges because you have taken them for granted, you have become complacent. And then after the child grows up, it becomes ready to be able to face disappointment. It does not expect everybody to make way for him or her, and it is able to tolerate things, it's able to adjust its expectations, and it grows into a well-adjusted person. Okay, sometimes I win, sometimes I lose, sometimes I'm okay, sometimes I'm not. This is exactly the way what the Veda is doing. It is reparenting you. Oh, but I already have parents. I have parents. Yes. But even though the parents did their best, what happened? The child did not, has still a lot more things to learn. Did not fully take this parenting to heart. But it takes the parenting to heart. Parenting is that which is unequivocally rejected. And then later on, they'll say, all right, you can come and visit. Or all right, I'll come for a visit. But it is rejected because any kind of a discipline or curb, anybody who's putting those curbs naturally becomes absolutely unpopular. And the parents are not very popular in the teenage and the early adulthood of the child. After that, they'll come back because they understand many more things. So the first portion of Veda is doing the job that the parents could not and did not finish doing. Not for any fault of their own, but because that's how it is. They may have been the Guinness Book of World Record parents, but they could not accomplish everything. Why? Because the child stopped listening. The child took them for granted. So the first portion of the Veda is a reparenting tool, because of which one learns Not how to be an adult, but really how to, because one is already an adult, but how to deal with all the children, the inner children, the inner ill-behaved children that are there in the form of frozen needs, vasanas, strong desires, pains, sorrows that have not been looked into. All of this have to be dealt with. And the Veda teaches how to corral these tendencies, the strong reactivity, and the penchant for going against the grain of what is called dharma. Dharma is that which everybody follows instinctively, doing the right thing, sharing, caring, and going with the flow. This is what dharma is. Not stealing, not telling falsehood, not injuring somebody, not defrauding somebody. Why? Because you don't want these things done to you. That's what dharma is. Then here, the first portion of the Veda, what should I say, tweaks all that through the active performance of rituals and through the active understanding that there is a scheme of things already in operation into which one is born, and one necessarily has to make peace with it before one can move along to ask loftier questions of oneself. Who am I? Why was I born? What is my purpose? Is there such a thing as Ishvara? Where is Ishvara? This is how one starts off, looking for Ishvara somewhere other than where Ishvara is. Where is Ishvara? Everywhere. So that is not understood. That Ishvara is me is not understood. So the Veda is like prep school. And this is what it is, like pre-med, like all the courses you take in order to get to the fast track of understanding who I am. So that is called Vedanta. That's why it comes at the end. Just like you can't have dessert before dinner. You have to have dinner, then you have dessert. There is a krama, there is an order. And so if you put the order upside down, if you say, I don't like the first portion of the Veda, I'm just going for Vedanta, it will go over the head like an airplane. Why? Because that's how it is. It will make a lot of noise, but you don't understand what is being said. You don't have any clue. Why am I doing this? What is this all about? Why am I studying this? Etc. etc. This is what the first portion of the Veda teaches you to be relatively at peace with yourself, relatively content with what there is, relatively content with what you have, relatively okay with how much ever you are able to influence others, relatively okay with if you're not able to get your way at times. It teaches you to be relatively okay, because only the relatively okay person can understand that I'm absolutely okay. This is the thing. This is the first portion of the Veda. So Vedanta means once you have come out of this school of difficult circumstances, this school where I don't try to make my difficulties go away, but a school where I learn to live with this adversity, especially if I can't do anything about it. That which is inevitable is embraced. That which is inevitable is seen as a manifestation of Ishvara, God, Bhagavan, God, same thing. That which is the cause of this universe, that is manifest in the form of one's own karma, which is what gives problems and pains and sorrows, manifest in the form of one's own problems, one's own issues, manifest in the form of things in the world that one has issues with. manifest as so many things within the body, like this, manifest everywhere. And this is what this is what the first portion of the Veda teaches. So that equipped with this understanding, because the first portion of the Veda is also knowledge, but it's the know-how of how to behave, how to act, and how to not ride roughshod over other people's desires in the process of fulfilling mine. That is the how-to here. So it is all there. And then one equipped with this understanding, with this knowledge, there is a little clearing in the thick forest of desires surrounding the heart. The forest has been pruned. You've taken a pair of shears of dharma, karma, etc., and pruned this forest so that at least you can see your way inside. The curiosity was always there, but you were afraid to go in because it was full of, it looked dangerous. It was completely camouflaged. It was closed. And the Bhagavan that one searches for, like that which, and Bhagavan here means that lasting peace, that happiness, that is Bhagavan, that freedom, which is Bhagavan, that one searches for, that is centered on oneself. This is what one has to know. And unless there is some room to ask these questions, that knowledge will never, ever happen. So first, room should be made to ask these questions. And once the room is made to ask these questions, then that will take one on the trajectory of what we call self-knowledge, Vedanta. That is Vedanam Anta. That's why it comes at the end, because one is ready for it. One is ready, one really, really wants to know, am I just this body? Am I just this mind? Am I just the senses? Am I just an assemblage of all this? Or am I something else? And if I'm something else, what is that something I am? What is that thing? And is it a thing? Is it alive? Is it sentient? Where is that thing? And all these questions come up. And so Vedanta is that body of knowledge that reveals the fact that you are one with everything that there is. Bodies in the room, many. But then the I is one. The I in you is the I in he, the I in she, the I in it, the I in they, everything. One I, many bodies, many minds, many genders, many names, many forms, one I. That I inheres all the names and forms, giving a kind of a delusion of duality to the ones who do not know. And then to the ones who know, they enjoy the world as a mere extension of themselves. This is Vedanta. And even though we have said it in a very short form, it's a long time to study. And why is there a long time to study? It takes a long time to study because there is resistance. There is fear. There is sorrow. There is, all these become pratibandhas. Pratibandhas means they become blocks along the way. Otherwise, it's very easy. It's neither easy nor hard. It's just like saying, this is an orange. Here is an orange. Yes, you see it immediately. As soon as I say, point this and say, here is an orange, you saw it immediately. Similarly, you are Ishvara. You see that immediately, you should. But why? For two reasons. Ishvara is not an object like an orange that I can show you. And secondly, the word Ishvara or God or whatever it is fraught with a lot of conjectures. In many cultures, as soon as you say God, they look up. They look up. Not in India. In India, they will not look up. Where is God? If you go and ask anybody in rural India, where they have never even heard Vedanta, for Vedanta, they don't even know. They will first look you up and down and say, first tell me which planet are you from? That you're asking this question, where is God? Of course, everywhere, everything. Everybody knows this. And so that is myself alone. It's a very, very big thing. Not easy. It needs to assimilate this knowledge, first of all, needs many things. It needs, and we'll go over them one by one. First of all, it needs a mind that has steadfastness. Not a mind that says today, oh, I think I love this knowledge. I happened upon it accidentally. And everybody comes to Vedanta accidentally. Very few people come by design. And even if somebody comes by design, in the last life, they happened upon it accidentally. So you accidentally, somebody drops in to a satsang, to a talk, and they really enjoy it. And they go home and say, that's it, nothing else for me. I'm taking all my clothes to the thrift store and I'm, selling them off. And I'm going to give my furniture to Goodwill. And I'm going to do this. And I'm going to join the ashram and study. Let's say somehow in a fit of this resolve, they do that. Then they go to sleep. Ah, such a nice bed. I have to take it away tomorrow. maybe I can sleep for a few more days. Or maybe I don't have to be so drastic. Or maybe I can just relax. Or maybe I need not do this. The resolve has already become wavering. Yeah? Becomes a little wavering. The next day, no, yes, I heard something. And then this is what it is. Because next day one sees the notes one had taken in the passion of the talk. Yes, and one had made a note to self, give up everything and follow the Swami. And one had made a note to the self. Oh, I made the note. I can't go against my own words. I have to do something. And then what? No, I think, creature comforts or something else calls. And this is what is wavering. This is not just in the study of Vedanta. This we find all the time. Some people just cannot make up their minds, even if you pay them to make up their minds. They can, even if you give them money and say, if you decide, I'm going to give you $100, they still cannot decide, poor things. Yeah. They cannot decide. They go back and forth, sometimes between two options. And there are some people who go back and forth between many, 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 many options. Which is worse? I don't know. You can ask the people. I don't know which is worse. But because of this, there is there is a block. This itself becomes a block. This is a block. And then sometimes, so steadfastness is the antidote to this block. So cultivating a mind that is available for the knowledge. Until when? Until one has eaten the knowledge to one's heart's content, until one can say, I am full, purnoham, purnamadaha, purnamidam, like that. Until one has ingested the knowledge to the fullest, this steadfastness must be kept going. Because if you get distracted, then finished, it's gone. You drop it, or you may not drop it, but it becomes lackadaisical. Yeah, I have studied, I know. Yeah, A for Atma, B for Brahman, C for Chit, D for Dharma, E for Eshana. I can keep going, but I won't. Yeah, like this, you can keep, you can say, this is the ABCD of Vedanta. I've been there, done that. And even in the course of one talk, one finds oneself shutting off. One is not able to listen completely because of this difficulty with steadfastness. That is why the sage Yagyavalkya in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad said to his wife Maitreyi. Maitreyi was just surprised one day because Yagyavalkya said, "Hey, today is your lucky day." "Why? What's happening?" "You're getting all my property." "Ooh, really? It's my lucky day. What? Why? Why am I getting all your property?" "Because I'm going to the forest for contemplation." She says, "Wait a minute. So that money that you're leaving me in order to go off, fly off to the forest for nididhyasana, contemplation upon what? Steadfast contemplation upon I as Ishvara, I as the whole, without any disturbance. Will money buy that?" She said. She knew it wouldn't, but she really wanted to hear it from him. Maybe if he was a modern husband, he would have said yes, yes, and gone away. But he was from ancient India, very, very dharmic. And he said, "No. Vittena na asha asti amritatvasya." That immortality which you say you want, oh Maitreyi, is not gained by these riches, by this wealth. Yes, you'll be comfortable like Upakaranavattam, like the other people who have wealth, who are comfortable, you will be comfortable. You'll be able to afford nice things and you'll be comfortable. But you're not going to get this knowledge. I mean, see, this is the problem. People think, oh, money denies me this knowledge. So it doesn't deny you the knowledge. Money will hasten this knowledge. Why? Because I can buy the guru off. No. Money will not hasten the knowledge. Money will not deny you the knowledge because money is money. That's what it is. That's the objective understanding of money, which we just talked about earlier before this talk in the question on vasanas. So then she is confused. She said, "Okay." She said, "Well, I am your other half, better half or worse half, I don't know, but I'm your other half. And so I'm entitled to half of everything that you have. You have this knowledge that cannot be halved, so can I please have the whole of it?" She asked. Isn't that wonderful? Yeah. What a lovely question and what a wonderful thing to ask. Then she wants to know not only how to gain this knowledge, she wants to know how to gain this knowledge, she wants to know what this knowledge is. And she wants to really know how to live this knowledge and be how he is. So he says a very interesting thing. This Atma, the I, has to be seen. Seen means what? He's making actually a sign like this. How do you know? Did you see him? Let not that be a question to me. Okay. Did you see him making this air quotes? No, I did not see him, but it's very, very clear from the rest of everything that follows, because Atma is not an object like an orange. It cannot be seen. So therefore he said, Atma va are, vai are. Are means honey. Oh, my dear love, Atma must be seen, meaning as good as seen. Like when I see this orange, I have immediate knowledge of this orange because I'm using the pratyaksha pramana, the eyes, to see. If I want to see color and form, I can't hold the orange here and say, come on, ears, tell me what it looks like. It's useless. I have to see it. I have to open my eyes and see it. And now the knowledge of orange has taken place. And similarly, in the same way, the eye has to be seen. Seen means known. In fact, we use that interchangeably even in our everyday language. Did you see that? Meaning, did you get that? And that's what we mean. So, Atma must be understood. Darshanartham kim kartavyam. In order to see it, in order to see this eye, what is it that has to be done? What is it that has to be done? And he gives a little formula. Shrotavyaha. It must be listened to. After that, what? Shrotavyaha. After that, what? Shrotavyaha. How long? Shrotavyaha. 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 Indra stayed in Prajapati's, Lord Indra stayed in sage Prajapati's ashram for 106 years. 106 years. This is not to put people off and say, okay, I've had my dinner, I'm leaving. I'm not going to be around for 106 years and I'm not going to gain this knowledge. This is very depressing. It's not meant to depress. It is actually meant to encourage. That when someone as famous as Indra, is following this knowledge and has that sincerity of pursuit to go and stay with the teacher in the ashram for 106 years, that means this knowledge must be very, 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 very precious. And it's something that I want. It's going to help me. It's going to help me see that I am whole, I am free, I am without sorrow and fear. That is the idea. So it's not late or quick. No. It just is. Just like I see the orange with the correct means of knowledge in front of me, the sight of orange has taken place. Well and good. The sight of orange has taken place. And when the sight of orange has taken place, then I know orange. So similarly, the sight of eye has to take place. It will not take place because the eye is not an object. So the knowledge of eye has to take place. And when the knowledge of the eye takes place with the correct pramana, pramana means means of knowledge. How are you going to see the orange? You have to operate the eyes. How are you going to decide whether a piece of music is Bach or Beethoven? Through the ears, through operating the ears. How are you going to see if it is a rose or a lily? How are you going to discern the fragrance of a rose or a lily? Through the nose, through the eyes, through the nose, through the ears. How are you going to see if it is velvet or if it is some hard surface? Through the sense of touch. For everything, there is a means of knowledge right there. Plus, we have at our behest, we have inference. I can make some inferences. And there are some stock inference examples also. I can make so many inferences. I can say, oh, I'm here. And that means that, that I was able to come here at this particular time. And so the others were also able to come at a certain time. So that means the roads are not too crowded. That's, you didn't see all the roads. You just saw the road you came on, but everybody came from different directions. But then you make that assumption. It's not an assumption, it's an inference. Like this, there are multi-step inferences. There's a stock example for one of them. Devadatta, a boy, If you want one name, you say Devadatta. If you want two fellows, Devadatta and Yagyadatta. And if you want three fellows, you say Devadatta, Yagyadatta and Somadatta. Ancient Sanskrit names. Devadatta does not eat during the day. Fact number one. Factoid number one. What does he not do? Eat during the day. Then after 1 month, he does not eat at all. And he's watched. That's how we know. He's watched. They keep a watch on him. Then 1 month later, he's put on the scales. He has not lost anything. In fact, he has gained a little, few ounces from last month. What's the conclusion?
Eats in the night.
He must be eating in the night. Did you see him eat in the night? No. But he must be eating, you're sure. Why? Because otherwise weight gain is not possible. This otherwise is called arthapatti. Anyatha anupapattihi means otherwise not possible. So therefore, it must be like this only. So this also we operate. And this is the basis for all medical inferences. If it works on a rat, it will work on you maybe you will have a, one in billion people will have a tumor. This is the idea. Medical inferences are all multi-step inferences. So then we have some other means of knowledge like comparison and upama. You compare a known thing to an unknown thing, and then you see that similarity, and then you make certain, when you see that unknown thing, you compare it to the known thing and you say, aha, I was told it is exactly like this, so this must be it. This is how it is. It's like, what would it look like to live on a planet that has 2 moons? We have only 1 moon. We are not used to 2 moons. So then what do? You take the moon that you know, and then you multiply it by 2 and you imagine, or an artist will make a rendition of this is how the life on that planet is with 2 moons. And based on, of course, the distance from that, their star, the sun, their sun, etc. So this is called upama, comparison. That is also a means of knowledge that we operate. Then finally, there is the last one called anupalabdhi, which means the cognition of non-presence or absence. Is there a pot in the palm of my hand?
No.
No. Very clear. How? Because I know what pot is. Pot is in my head, and I recognize pot, but I don't recognize that pot in your hand. That's the cognition of absence. Out of these 5, which one shall we choose to know the Atma if we ask the question? The answer is none of them. Can you see the Atma? Okay, I'll ask the question. All you have to do is give the answer no. Okay. Can you see the Atma? No. Can you pick up the smell of the Atma?
No.
Can you hear the Atma?
No.
Although people do say there are some sounds that come in meditation. I tell you, if any sound comes in meditation, it's your stomach saying it's time for lunch. That's all. Atma does not make a sound. So you cannot, the eye doesn't make a sound. It doesn't have a form. You can't see it. You can't hear it. Can you feel the Atma?
No.
You forgot we have to answer. No. Forgot the answer. And so you can't hear, you can't see, you can't do this. And how about, can you infer the Atma?
No.
People tried. Yeah. And they failed. Because they put the cart before the horse. That's why that person's name was Descartes. Yeah. I think, therefore I am. This I think I am. That means if you're not thinking in sleep, do you cease existing? No, you're very much there. Thankfully, he corrected himself. I am, therefore I can think. So you can't infer the Atma because the inferer is the Atma. The inferer is this I. So who are you going to infer? There is no object. You are not the object of inference. 1 step, 2 step, multi-step, nothing works here. Nothing at all works here. Then what else is left? Compare. Yes, let's compare the Atma to what? How many Atmas are there? How many Atmas are there? 1. Okay. And then if anybody wants to say 2, see me after class. Yeah. So only 1 Atma is there. And then what are you going to compare it to? Even Shakespeare writing the sonnet could ask the question, shall I compare thee to a summer's day? And he changed his mind. No. Summer is too short and too hot. So let's find something else. But here, the Vedanta poets are very, very at a loss, very much at a loss. How do they write poetry? What do they compare the Atma to? Nothing. Space, okay. But it's an overused example everywhere. Space or sun. Space because it is commodious and it accommodates everything. Sun because it is like the sun-like eye that shines without any help from anything else. Self-shining eye. I know I am. That's all. But even that is the very, you feel shy making this comparison. It's not really a comparison. So we should use anupalabdhi, correct? Yeah. Maybe I don't exist. Maybe I am not. Maybe I'm not there. What's the problem with this sentence? Perhaps I do not exist. What's the problem with this question? Yeah. Who is saying that? Me. Do you exist or not? Yes. An existent I is declaring it's non-existent. Just like the child hiding behind the sofa and saying, don't look here, I'm not here. In trying to look at it from this standpoint, in trying to deny your presence, you're actually affirming it. You're affirming the presence. You're not denying it at all. So, what else is left? What other means of knowledge do we have in which we operate? Nothing. This is it. Finished. So then I have to know the Atma. What to do? That's why the teaching here is seen as a means of knowledge in and of itself. In and of itself. The Upanishad, the Bhagavad Gita, and the Brahma Sutra, and all the texts in the tradition are seen as the eyes, the ears, etc., with which I come to know the Atma, which I cannot know otherwise. So you see, knowing this itself, understanding this, really taking this seriously, is the first, first is the steadfast mind. Second is this topic called this issue called pramanyam, meaning the ability to recognize that I do not have the means to see what I want to see. If you can't see what you want to see, you need a pair of glasses to be able to see clearly, because I want to see this, but I'm not able to see that. So you have to get help. And you have to get help, and you have to go and get yourself fitted for a pair of glasses, hearing aids, whatever it is. You need some help here because you cannot see, because it's not an object for sight. So the help here, it comes in the form of these ancient words, sentences, etc., that are called Upanishads. And these Upanishads are thousands and thousands of years old. And they have been communicated in the form of a living Vedanta through teachers. It is highly Shastra dependent. Shastra means teaching dependent. And the teaching comes in the form of words that are, I would say, at best, insufficient, because it will just say a few things and go away. And then what did you mean? What did it say? And so therefore, the teachers in the tradition expound on those sentences according to how the tradition has unfolded them. So it is not a knowledge that is person-dependent and person-centric. It is a knowledge that is tradition-centric. It is sampradaya-centric. Sampradaya means the lineage. Parampara, lineage-centric, tradition-centric, not a person-centric. If the knowledge was person-centric, and I can come tomorrow and say, I had a dream and God told me all these things or something like that. And then why only me, right? God can tell you also, but that question I will just say, no, God favors me. So God came to me and told me, and now all of you have to listen to me. So that is person-centric, if somebody says that. That is what is a cult. Cult or occult, whatever you want to call it. This is not a cult, because this is not based on a person. The teacher comes and the teacher goes. And in fact, this is what I say in the tradition. When you are ready, the teacher disappears. Yeah, into you as you. That is why it is so healthy. It is It is teacher-centric only to the extent that I approach the teacher and I say, I really want this. But the student may say, this is teacher-centric, this knowledge is teacher-centric, but the teacher will say, this knowledge is lineage-centric. We only teach and unfold what our gurus taught us. And tomorrow when you start to teach, you will also teach what your teachers taught you. That is what it is. That is how the thing is. So the teaching accompanied by the amplifier, the megaphone called the teacher, the one who amplifies the Shastra, the one who makes it accessible and available to all, is the sixth means of knowledge. And it has to be respected and held in the same way as the other five. Why? Because there is no other option. There is no other option. If you want this knowledge, you have to have a means of knowledge to get there. If you want to go somewhere, you need a car or a bus or a train or something, you have to depend on that. And so this body of knowledge called Vedanta is like the car. Is like the car to removing all your karma. Okay? Yeah. People in this country say karma. Actually, what is the word? Karma. Yeah. Except when you have car trouble, then you're allowed to say karma. Okay? So that's what it is. So here, this is we need a means of knowing, a fresh means of knowing, because the ones we have are vitiated by our own impressions, vasanas, our own prejudices, and our own subjectivity, in other words. That's the key word, subjectivity. Our own subjectivity influences how we see, how we hear, everything. And so if you just sit and read the Upanishad, and God only knows how many translations there are so many translations. You pick up a translation and read, what will happen? Nothing. That's a good answer. Nothing will happen. Tattvamasi. Or in America, somebody said, can you please teach me Tattvamasi? And I said, what? Tattvamasi. There is a sentence in the Upanishad that says, you are one with God, you are the same. Tattvamasi. That cause of the universe is you. You are non-separate from the cause of the universe. So when I come across sentences like that, without a proper infrastructure to live this knowledge, to understand and assimilate this knowledge, what am I going to do? I say, next. And then next it will say something else. You are the whole. Oh, H-O-L-E, right? No, W-H-O-L-E. I don't think so. That is the resistance. That is the block. That is the fear, because it is telling you things that you want to hear badly, but you're afraid to see. That's what it is. You want to be whole. You want to be the whole. You want to be the most important person. And you already are the most important person. No, but the president is the most important person, or this person is the most important person. Like that, we have so many things, so many assumptions. No, though that's all just on one level, but really you alone matter. The vision says this. The vision says you alone matter. There is nothing like you. There is only you. And you are that which is nameless, formless. You are limitless. And being limitless, you are never subject to sorrow or fear or pain. And you are that which is the source of everything. So anything that has a name and has a form is not outside of you. It's everything. Even that which we call God, even though it may seem odd, is nothing but you. It's you. It's that you means what? That sentience which makes me say, I exist and I know I am. That is the I. That is revealed in the teaching as endless, limitless, sorrowless, fearless, secondless, without a second. This is the vision. to assimilate it, it is not that I have a belief, but I have what is called this pramanata, this ability to accept the pramana, to accept this means of knowledge, the new means of knowledge that has just been introduced to me. I accept two things about it, that it is going to transform me. Subjecting myself to this, exposing myself to this means of knowledge is going to transform me, number one. And number two, that I have to allow this operation to take place. Both of them are very hard. First is, I have to allow this operation to take place is very, very difficult because I am the shaker, mover, and operator of everything. I'm the agent. I'm the agent. And in all the other 5 means of knowledge, if you ask the question, who sees? Me. I'm the seer. I'm the doer. I'm the hearer. I'm the thinker. I'm the inferer. So the I here in the form of the ego, the I notion, the ahankara is very, very active. And making way for this pramana, this means of knowledge, means telling the ahankara to go out of the door or sit somewhere in the back. It is now the king on the throne, and you tell the ego, go sit in the back. Who is going to be ready to do that? If you go to the palace and tell the king, go sit in the back, he's going to have you driven out. And similarly, misguided like this, many people throw the shastra out. They throw the teaching itself out. The guru is thrown out because one is not ready to take a back seat. And even if one forcibly is made to sit in the back seat, they will do some back seat driving. No, that's not what the Upanishad is saying. Are you sure you're going the right way? No. Stop. Something is coming. No, this can't be right. I can't be the whole. Stop. Turn around. I have to go back to my old ways. Don't take me here. Take me back. So the backseat driving happens. And those are the reasons why Yagyavalkya tells his wife, Maitreyi, the knowledge doesn't take place. So the first thing is that, steadfastness of desire, steadfastness of mind to be able to just be with the teachings and to follow that until one has satiety, one is totally satisfied. And the second attribute that one cultivates in order to make this knowledge real and assimilate is to understand how this pramana business works, how this pramana works. And when this pramana works, how this pramana works, that is what one has to understand. And therefore, understanding this means there should be a receptivity to the pramana. But yet the ahankara pushes it away. Why? Why does the ahankara pushes it away? The ahankara is crying all the time. The ego is saying, I want to be whole, I want to be best, I want to be, I want to be the greatest. And here is a body of knowledge that is telling you, you are the best, you are the greatest, you are the whole. Why am I pushing away this vision? What is wrong with me? Why am I pushing away this vision? I'm pushing away this vision because I don't fully have the means. I don't believe, or I don't take the means of knowledge seriously. Why not? Because the other means of knowledge which I operate are in my hands. This one operates upon me. You see, there's a very big difference. Other means of knowledge I have right here. This is my body, right? These are my eyes. I choose not to see, or I see differently, or I go like this and I see double. It's up to me, whatever I do. I have many ways of operating the eyes. I have many ways of operating the ears. And young children, if you have at home, they'll say, not listening, and they'll go like this. Teenagers don't even bother with these gestures. They just don't respond. They are like cats. They take a message. And 3 days later, they'll say, you called. This is what it is. So the means of knowledge which I operate, I'm comfortable with, because I am in the driver's seat. I am in the king of all the pramanas, all the means of knowledge. I'm the one operating. But this one has to operate upon me. This is the problem. It's like going under anesthesia before surgery. Before surgery, even before you meet your surgeon, which you've had a chance to Google and find out. Okay, 99% success rate. All right, let's not think of that 1%. This is good enough. Okay, I'll go with him or her. You make a decision. But then before you are greeted by the surgeon, the anesthesiologist comes. I'm your anesthesiologist. What is your weight? This is the only time I think the person doesn't tell untruth. Correct weight. And then all this, after the small talk and everything, please sign here. What am I signing? You're already being wheeled to the operation theater. Please sign here. Well, anesthesia is very safe generally right now, but ... That's the dotted line. Sometimes you may not come back. And if you don't come back, your family is not going to hold us liable. So please sign here. And then how do you sign? You can't give yourself anesthesia. You can barely count backwards when they tell you to. Well, you cannot administer this to yourself. Somebody has to do it to you. And you have to trust. This is not the time to tell the anesthesiologist. There is no time to say, show me your creds. Where did you graduate from? What is your experience? How many people have come back safely after coming into your hands? How many people did not even make it to the operation because of you? They make it through or come out alive. This is not the time to do that. You have to trust, because you signed up for this surgery. Already it is 1 hour delayed for so many reasons out of your hand, and the anxiety is just killing you. You just, even if the anesthesia doesn't, and so you just want to finish this off. So you say, in your mind, you say, all right, I choose to trust you. And you sign the paper, and then before you know it, the surgery is done. And that same attitude one must have to the pramana. That's exactly the same thing. And that makes the difference between a Vedanta that is still in the head and a Vedanta that percolates in the heart, which you can live. So understanding it's a living Vedanta in the form of a tradition, in the form of a tradition that is alive, and it is not subject to one person's whims and fancies, because we don't want that. In the tradition, if somebody says, I gained this knowledge all by myself, my teacher used to laugh whenever anybody said that. He would have a hearty laugh. And then one young man came, because such people are seen as upstarts in a tradition as ancient as India. One young fellow came once and said to Swamiji, I just gained this knowledge apne aap, all by myself. Swamiji just threw his head back and laughed. And the young man said, why are you laughing? Nothing, it's okay. Keep this knowledge to yourself, don't give it to anybody else, was Pujya Swamiji's advice. Because it is suspect. It is suspect to your own subjectivity. No, but it's come from 5,000-year-old lineage. Yes, that's why it is authentic. But isn't it like the telephone game? You say mountain, and by the time it goes through 20 years, you whisper mountain, and then it becomes molehill by the time it comes out. No, it's not like the telephone game. But why not? Why is there no corruption in the knowledge? Because it is based on you. That's why there is no corruption. Because it is the whole subject matter is you yourself. You who is going to be the carrier of the knowledge is the subject matter. And you happen to be whole, you happen to be free of longing, and you happen to be free of wanting. You happen to be free of self-critique, self-judgment. And guess what? You want to be free of self-critique, you want to be free of self-judgment, you want to be free of longing, and you want to know that you already belong wherever you are. You have a sense of belonging, not just with family and friends and some Vedanta circle, but with the whole universe. That is what you want. It's in keeping with your dearest yearnings. That's why it is not distorted, because it is dependent upon you. You will give it authentically because that's what you are made to see. Once you see it, you are it, and you will then proceed to give it to the other person. That's why in the lineage, which is a living Vedanta, there is safety. And only through this one is able to assimilate. Otherwise, it's just that you just go listen, and listening you are, you just come back. Oh, that was nice. It was wonderful. I must get the recipe sometime. It's not like this. It's not like some kind of a food item. This is something much more. This is something huge. This is something big. Because it is you and because it is so precious. Therefore, you open the ears, sit and listen. Not just the ears. You open the mind, you open the heart, you open up all the places of resistance. Some inner housekeeping is required, and already the mind has to steadfastly desire this knowledge, not back and forth, yes, no, maybe, no. That's the first thing we discussed. The second thing is to have what is called Shraddha. Shraddha means pramana buddhi. So this buddhi, a thinking that is committed to seeing this knowledge as a pair of eyes that I do not have, as a pair of ears that I do not have to hear what I need to hear the most. This is what is the second thing, Shraddha. Shraddha literally means devotion, respect. And that is what is cultivated. If we look at any person in the universe, especially in the current day, it's always full of distrust. So much distrust. Somebody is out to get me. And if I'm walking in a crowded square in a big city, metropolis, you clutch the wallet a little closer instinctively. Somebody is out to get me. Somebody is out to harm me. I have to be defensive. I have to be offensive. I have to protect myself. So this kind of a life does not make way for Shraddha. It is something that has to be cultivated because one has steadfastness and a steadfast desire for the knowledge. And that samadhanam, that steadfastness, gives rise to the desire to sit and listen. One can save oneself the sitting and the listening. If the right attitude is not there, it's a waste of time. So the correct attitude has to be formulated. And the correct attitude is one of a gentle trust. I dare to trust again, even though I have been constantly disappointed. And this is a good place to place the trust, because that's why the living Vedanta in the form of the living teachers of the lineage who have written books, who may not be alive today, but their words and their legacy is living enough for us to see, yes, they gained this knowledge. So they serve as the beacons. The living Vedanta serves as the beacon to understand that I too can live this. This can be there for me too. So that hope is Shraddha. That interest and that desire to learn is Shraddha. The reverence is Shraddha. Respect is Shraddha. Devotion is Shraddha. Devotion, why? Devotion is not like, oh, I'm doing rituals. That's not the devotion. Devotion means that one is committed to the teachings, committed to the knowledge. That is the devotion. That commitment is there. And that commitment alone, allows us to help, to help ourselves to the teaching. The Shastra does not speak except through a teacher. So therefore, the same kind of pramanya buddhi that is given, the same kind of a buddhi means the thinking that is given, the pedestal that is given to the pramana, to the means of knowledge called the body of knowledge called Vedanta. That same respect is given to the teacher who amplifies the Shastra, the teaching. That's why the definition of Shraddha in the Viveka Chudamani is this. Shastrasya guruvakyasya satya buddhi avadharana sa Shraddha kathitha sadbhihi yaya aksharam adhigamyate. That through which the indeclinable I is known as the truth of this universe, as Ishvara. That through which that Shastra, the teaching, and the teacher, that Satya Buddhi Avadharana, the ability to give them the benefit of doubt. The teacher and the teaching, you give them the benefit of doubt. And that is what is called Shraddha. It is cultivated. And so therefore, you strive to have a relationship with a teacher that is only confined to the teachings and nothing else. Nothing else at all, if you want this knowledge. All other things are not there. And because you want to keep the relationship pure and unsullied by what we call transactional interaction. So the guru will not talk about things that I want to talk about. That's not true. If you go and talk about the weather, the guru will talk about the weather. No problem. It is very hot today. Yes, indeed, it is hot today. Today was such a pleasant day. Yes, indeed, it was. We can talk about the weather. No problem. But is this what you want to do? Is this really, you don't have people in your life to talk about the weather? Sad, if that's the case. Go get a life. Go make a few friends. So you can talk or find people that you want to avoid. So then you can just talk about the weather and avoid them. Yeah, that's why it's called weather, because you don't know whether to talk about it or not. This is a waste of a teacher, really. You're wasting the teacher by talking about the weather. No, I won't talk about the weather. I'll talk about something else dear to me. Again, that's waste. Anya vacha pramunchatha esha amritatvasya setuhu. Kathopanishad says, give up all other talk. In fact, it doesn't say with the teacher. It says with everybody. Stop talking. Yeah. Helps in spread of COVID too. And stop talking, stop speaking altogether unless you are talking about the teachings to somebody else, to the teacher, or unless you are explaining it to somebody else. That's what it says. And then it says, if you do that, the knowledge of yourself as not the body, mind, sense complex, but that which is immortal, the I that never comes to an end, is not far away. The bridge to this knowledge is the bridge of not talking anything except Vedanta. So this becomes the third point in order to have a living Vedanta. And people told me, I want to know how to live this knowledge, how to assimilate. If you're serious about assimilating, you reduce the topics. First, if you give up, then, it's, especially when you say, I'm going to give up, only thoughts of the weather will come. Yeah. You'll be obsessed by the weather and you'll say, what's wrong with me? I really don't want to talk about the weather. That is what will come. There's an ancient story to illustrate this. One there was one poor gullible guru, a very innocent, bechara guru. And then to him, one person came, said, I want this, can I please have the mantra for world domination? And how does it go? I used to know it. He just pretended he didn't know it. So the guru said, oh, no, that's not how it is. It is like this. He gave him the mantra. So behind him, somebody came and said, what have you done? This is a despot. This is a dictator. This is a tyrant. You gave him the mantra for world domination. We are all doomed. He's going to just be a Hitler or something. I mean, at that time, Hitler was not born. But this is some, he's going to be a dictator. He's going to be a terrorist. So the guru said, don't worry, I got this. Call him back. Tell him an important instruction in relation to the mantra has been left out. So the man came scurrying back. Yes, Guruji, what should I do? What is going on? Well, I forgot to tell you that whenever you chant the mantra, do not think of a monkey. That's all. And he said, monkey? I never think of a monkey even otherwise. Who thinks of monkeys? No, I know you don't think of, but this is according to the book. It says don't think of monkeys. So I just told you because, in the interest of full transparency, don't think of a monkey, otherwise the mantra will not work. So next day he bathed, he showered, and he sat down and clean clothes, went into the mantra, mudra, and then sat down. Let's see what I should think of. Monkey. Oh no, I thought of monkey. As soon as he said monkey, he thought of monkey. And then he said, okay, never mind, I'll try again in the evening. In the evening, not one, but two monkeys came. And then the next day, all kinds of monkey, langur, and what else? Makaka, and all kinds of various Ishta monkeys, like Ishta Devata. All the monkeys came, one by one. And then he had to give up the mantra, and that's why the world was spared of yet another dictator, thanks to the quick thinking sadhu over there. So that's the thing, If you say, I'm going to stop talking altogether, all kinds of thoughts will come, and then, it's like you will start talking immediately. So it is about reducing. You can tell yourself, on a holiday weekend like this, or any weekend, you can tell yourself for 1 hour, I'm going to talk only thing that matters. Only Vedanta. Vedanta is not like you have to know some Upanishad quotes and you keep quoting that. No, just its message. And what is its message? That you are an appreciative, non-demanding, contented, objective person. And that you are the whole universe. That is its message. For one hour, you contemplate on the message either loudly or softly or interpersonally. Then when that is fun, then you do it for 2 hours. Then you do it for half a day. Or even if you don't do this, sometimes you can approach it in the opposite way. You know what you can do? You can say that in our house, we can have a no criticism, only appreciation day. And somebody said, can we do that? Make that less? I said, okay, have half a day. They said, still too much. I said, have 2 hours. Nope, not happening in my house. 1 hour? Now I was asking the question, 1 hour? No. Then finally, that family told me, we can have a 1 minute of no criticism, only appreciation in a day. I said, well enough, good enough. I'll take whatever I can get. Start with 1 minute. Then extend to 2 minutes the very next day. They said, no. Because that's how much that habit, it's a habit. Dosha darshanam means seeing only the fault in everything. Everybody, all the things. And even when nothing is wrong, the mind goes, oh my God, nothing is wrong. What's wrong? What's wrong because nothing is wrong. And so this is a habit. So living Vedanta means attacking these deep-rooted habits, which do not come out when you're listening to a talk, because you're listening, you're actively listening. But then the moment the talk is done, the slippers are worn, and then one goes out of the house, then immediately one gets into this critical mode. Critical, pun intended, because it is indeed critical that we drop this. If we want to progress further in living the Vedanta that we already know, or in understanding the Vedanta we want to know. Either way, it's the same for everybody. Because if you talk about another person, you're injuring yourself, really. If you talk about another person in a harmful way, in a way that is, depreciating them, putting them in a bad light, then in a way you're hurting yourself. You're hurting yourself. And why are you hurting yourself? Because you are, even geographically, one is occupying the same space, let us say. Physically, we are sharing the same air. There is a connection. And physiologically, the same body, same material that goes to make my body goes to make that body. So that is the thing. So that means I don't criticize anybody anytime ever. Ideally, yes. But then, but this person has hurt me. What do I do? Well, you can criticize them, but in a way, then it becomes a psychological tactic where you are venting, where you are emoting, and you know you are emoting and you're doing it for a short time, and then you are over it. You don't bear the person ill will. That's the thing. You don't bear the person ill will because you know it's really about you. So how to stop this habit of dosha darshanam? You stop this habit. It's very easy to stop, actually, much easier than we think. We tell ourselves that the other person, whoever it is, whoever I do not like, is actually, I do not like them because of some issue within me. That's it. Because just because I don't like them doesn't mean they have no friends. There are obviously other people that like them. And they are connected to them, they adore them. That means what? It is not them, it is my issue. No, but they mistreat me. Well, you have a choice. Don't be around them, simple. No, but I want to be around them. Okay, then don't critique them. This is the thing. Otherwise, it becomes some kind of a dysfunctional connection. So these are all very important things, because we think, oh, this is not hard to do. It is indeed not hard to do, but we have to follow this, not just within the satsang, but even outside of the sangha, even outside of Vedanta. We follow this, and it is actually very helpful, because if people look at you, you become an advertisement for Vedanta, whether you want to or not. Really, you're seen as somebody who is inspiring others. Oh, this person studies the Bhagavad Gita. Oh, but they're getting so angry. Oh, but they're getting so upset. And if you have teenagers, they'll definitely point out that you have been studying the Gita for 6 years, but you're still getting angry. They will very helpfully point that out. Take it with a sense of humor. Say, yes, you are right. You tell the child, you are right. I'm going to do better. And doing better means that gap between who I study that I am and who I am in my everyday life has to come down. That has to erase eventually, has to lessen. And for that, it is better to talk less, to talk softly, sweetly, whenever possible, appreciatively. And to talk only about how wonderful things are, really. But am I not in a sense of denial when I say that? No, you're not. Because it is, in fact, wonderful. but I've had a terrible childhood. That was then. This is now. You have the choice now to work on the effects of the childhood so that it doesn't inform the present and steal your present. The past was already taken away. Why spoil the present as well? This is what one has to do. Vak tapas, this is called. And and Shraddha brings in Vak tapas. Because Shraddha brings in the devotion of listening. And when you're listening, you're not talking as much. So you're in that listening, Shravanam mode. And that's what it means also. When you're in the listening mode, it means one is giving the Guru the benefit of doubt. One is not saying, oh, the Guru is wrong because I don't feel happy. So the fact that I am happy is not a fact at all. It's wrong. That may be your conclusion, but you give the benefit of doubt to the Guru to be proved. You're ready to be proved otherwise. This is one more way of living Vedanta. Then we have some other things which we can discuss. And another very, very important two things that we have to bring in to this discussion. The first one is the attitude with which one looks upon the Jagat, the world. How do I see the world around me? How do I see the world which includes my body, which includes my mind, anything that can be objectified, which includes other bodies, other minds, which includes trees, plants, and other inanimate objects like rocks, ocean, etc., moon, sun? How do I view these things? When we answer this question, we find that we view them from the lens of love and hate. I love this, I hate this. Starts when one is 2-year-old. A small thing was there in the prasad line. It was tiny. Had just learned to walk and to talk, just barely to. Whatever fruit was at hand, I just gave. The hand went in the back, both the hands. I said, you're so young, what happened? I hate apple. I said, okay, do you like banana? I love banana. Actually, she said banana, nana. She put a few nanas there. And she was hardly as tall as the banana. American bananas are big. So it's not, these preferences and prejudices start really small. And as I was telling you, in fact, it could be carried over in the other life, from the other life itself. So these preferences and prejudices, I see the world filtered by my own preferences and filtered by my own prejudices. This is how. In fact, this led one very interesting 14th century philosopher, Vedanta philosopher, to say, in fact, if to posit a very drastic thing, he said, Drishti Srishti Vada. He came up with a philosophy, very interesting philosophy by the name of Prakashananda. One Swami was there, and he said that whatever you see is your own world. Is there an objective world? He was not being solipsistic, or it was not a position of relativism, but it was a very interesting position. And what was the position? The world that you see is a world that is vitiated by your likes and dislikes and prejudice and preferences. So that is your world. That is your creation. That is creation. Because even if there is an objective creation, you can't get to it anyway. Because you have a cataracted vision of biases, prejudices, preferences. You see what you like to see. You say, I don't like this because there is a preference, there is a prejudice. And so the world which you see is full of your own opinions, your own impressions, your own filters, your own thoughts, your own prejudices. This subjectivity has to be withdrawn for the Vedanta to go in, and this subjectivity has to stay withdrawn for the Vedanta to stay in. First it goes in and then it stays in. You have to withdraw that subjectivity. How to withdraw it? By becoming more and more objective. How to become more and more objective? That objectivity is called Vairagya. By dropping, Vairagya is nothing but dropping the notions attached to things in the world. My own notions. There are two things. One is the thing itself, and the other is my own notion attached to that thing. This is good, this is bad, this is mine. And then, what about that? That is not yet mine, soon to be mine. This is how we see the whole world. And that is what has to be deeply, fully, honestly corrected. The correction of this subjectivity involves actually letting it go, mourning it really. You mourn the raga and dvesha, the wants and the don't wants and the likes and the dislikes. And it takes a lot of self-awareness and self-honesty, an inner honesty and intellectual honesty to be able to do that. Because many times if you ask the people, oh, you need to give up this, that, they don't mind giving up things. Oh, I don't need a big house. I can stay in a room, no problem. But you ask them to give up notions. No, because there is an ocean of notions. That's very difficult to give up. One is wedded to the notions. One is wedded to one's notions. And most of all, one is wedded to the notion that one is right. This is what is called the reduction of subjectivity, Vairagya. That is what Vairagya is. You drop it, drop it, drop it. Why? Because I need something bigger. I need to see things for what they are, rather than what I want them to be and what they seem to be, what they appear to be. Because the appearance is what is causing the sorrow. How they appear to me is causing the longing, the sorrow, the pain, everything. The bereavement. And in the celebrated work called the Panchadashi, the author in the 4th chapter talks of a very interesting scenario before, SMS, emails, phones, nothing. 2 young men left their parental homes. The parents were friends. And then they went to the city to eke out a livelihood. And suddenly one day, the news came, spread by some misinformer, a miscreant, that one of the sons had died. One boy had died, perished in an accident. And the parents of that said boy were just inconsolable. They were just so upset. They stopped eating. They were inconsolable. They could not stop crying. And the other parents, who were their friends, cooked for them, helped them, and chanted verses of the Gita along with the meaning. Yes, the body goes away. The Atma is there forever. Not a good time for that unless one is ready, because one is in the bereaved mode. But nonetheless, they became philosophers, counselors to them. The next week, the news came that actually that was the wrong news. It was these parents who were the consolers. Their son had actually perished by somebody else who brought the correct news back. Now the shoe was on the other foot. And then these people were crying. And then, these people, the other people became the philosophers, the counselors, the friends, the helpers, and all this. And the author shows, that if it was a misinformer, like a gossip monger, maybe both the sons were alive. Maybe he was just jealous of them or something like that and spread a rumor like this. So, and then as soon as they found out the sons were alive, they were just celebrating and joyous. So you see how this sorrow is notional. The notion that the son has died is so powerful as to really take away all the joy in the life. And the notion that he's alive, because really nobody has seen him. This is just some miscreant who is spreading rumors. One day, one rumor, another day, another rumor. So the notion that he's alive brings joy. The notion that he's dead brings sorrow. And so the sorrow is not connected to the son who doesn't even know about any of these things. The sorrow is connected to really the notions that one carries. And what is the notion here? I can't be without him. That is the idea. He is an extension of me. He's not. He's actually leading his own life and is fine without you. But this is the feeling, this is the understanding, misunderstanding. And this is what is called subjectivity. Subjectivity in Sanskrit is called Jiva Srishti. Jiva's own creation. Jiva means individual. The Jiva's own creation versus what? Ishvara Srishti, Ishvara's creation. So the first step to living Vedanta is to live firmly in Ishvara's creation, not in our own creation. We step out of our creation in order to live in the created world as it is, not as I think it is, not as I think it should be, not as I fear it is, but exactly as it is. And so for that, a lot of vairagya is necessary to drop the notions that do not serve. How do we know that notions do not serve? Those notions that bring you down immediately obviously do not serve. Those notions that are agonizing do not serve. Those notions that are, what's the word for it, take you to a place of unrealistic ecstasy, also are not real. You have to come down from both terminal points of the continuum and live somewhere in the happy medium. That's how it is. And how do we do this? By seeing the world as Ishvara. The world is a manifestation of God, not a mandate of God. The laws of the universe are again not mandates of God, but manifestations of Ishvara. This is how we see it. So wherever, yatra yatra manoyati, tatra tatra tavapada pankajam. That's one rendition. Another one says, yatra yatra manoyati, tatra tatra samadhayah. This is from the celebrated work called Drig Drishya Viveka. Yatra yatra manoyati. So after this practice, what happens? Yatra yatra manoyati, wherever the mind goes. Tatra tatra tavapada pankajam. There alone I see your lotus feet. This is a prayer. You see Bhagavan everywhere. You see Ishvara everywhere. Adversity is Ishvara. Everything is Ishvara. It's all Ishvara, 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 Ishvara. You see Ishvara wherever you go, whatever you do. First step. Then the second step is put this way. Yatra yatra manoyati, tatra tatra samadhayah. Wherever you go, wherever the mind goes, immediately there is a oneness. There is a samadhi, means the cessation of duality is called samadhi. No duality. So wherever the mind goes, there is oneness because I recognize you as an extension of me, nay, as myself alone. So there is a oneness in connection, there is a oneness in everything. We can't even call it connection. There's just a oneness in whatever you see. Whatever I see is another iteration of me. Then who are you going to blame? Who are you going to call? No one, because you're talking to yourself. Who are you going to blame? No one. And so this is what is the connection between the sadhanas, the means that one has been advised to the sadhya, the goal that one wants to reach, which is living Vedanta. Living this every day calls for shedding of shedding of this duality, and the shedding of the duality, which is all within. It's not outside. It is all within oneself, within one's psyche. And so therefore, more objectivity means more Ishvara. More Ishvara in me, more objectivity in me. Less contentiousness, less argumentation, less me, less of myself, more of Ishvara. Let there be more of Ishvara in me as me. That is the prayer. That is the prayer of every mumukshu, every jignasu, everybody who wants to have this knowledge, everybody who desires this. This is the prayer. And so these sadhanas means these ways of life are conducive to doing Shravanam. Shravanam here we have talked about in detail, listening. And then if there are any doubts, then those can be also removed through talking to the teacher, etc. And then finally, it leads us on the path of living Vedanta, which is Nididhyasanam, which is what we have been talking about. How to live this knowledge without any kind of a doubt, vagueness, or error. How to live it in the everyday. How to translate what has been taught into the everyday life. That is the idea. So we'll stop here and then can continue in other forms in other places. I'll say the closing prayer. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.